What is up, everyone? My name is Jonathan. Thank you for joining me for another Adobe Illustrator tutorial. Today we are making a logo or graphic of the number 2, just like you saw in the thumbnail. So let's get started. We are in Adobe Illustrator. This is just a 1080 by 1080 document that's pretty standard for all Facebook, Instagram, etc. They like this square ratio. Obviously use whatever size dimensions you need. We are going to start by using the type tool, and we're just going to start with the number 2 and then hit escape. Then by holding shift and alt, we're going to drag this up so it's pretty big. And then I'm just using a Gotham bold font. And I'm going to click this button up here and put it in the center. And I'm going to select this by hitting V on your keyboard, grab your selection tool, and then just click on the number 2 and then right click, create outlines. And so now this is an object. It is no longer an editable text. And I'm going to go up to object and click expand. Now I'm going to hit A on my keyboard. This grabs the direct selection tool, and now you can click on these anchor points in the corners. And so see, now I can drag this in, or I could, holding shift, click on this other one and drag this in and now make the top round. Whichever you prefer. I'm going to drag this in, round this off. So this is a good way to edit a text after you've made a text as well. And I think I'm going to do the same thing with this corner here. I'm going to drag this in. And I think I do want to drag one of these in. I'm not sure which one I want to drag in. Whoops. Yeah, I think I'm going to drag that one in. So once you've done this, I'm going to grab the pen tool and I'm going to change, let's see, swap the stroke and the fill around, but I'm also going to grab a really bright color. Oops, I don't want it on the fill, I want it on the stroke. I'm going to grab a really bright color, and this is just so we can see the path, the stroke that we're making with the pen tool. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to start on this anchor point, and then I'm going to click over here. I'm going to drag this up so it'll be something like so. Probably right around there. Just holding alt, you can click back on this last anchor point or hit escape, and that will exit that current path. And we're going to do one there, and I'm going to do one here, and probably going to click over here and just do something. Whoops. Nah, I don't like that. Move this back over. And if you move around like that, you can just hold the space bar on your keyboard and then click and drag the artboard around. And I don't like that. So we're going to go this way. Do something like so. Hit escape. And I think that's all we'll do. We'll just leave that alone for there. So once you've created your strokes, I'm going to click on both of these, and then by holding alt, click and drag them over to the side because we are going to reuse them. And now we're going to select all of these. We're going to go over to our Pathfinder panel, which for me is right here. If you don't have the Pathfinder tool, it might be over here on one of these panels. If you don't, go over to Windows and then go down to Pathfinder. And once you have selected your object and the strokes, just click divide, and this will divide the strokes where the stroke was. It will divide the lower object, and then we're just going to select this and then right click ungroup, and now you should have 3 separate pieces. And now we're going to select these, and by holding shift, click and hold shift and drag these back over. And because we put these on the anchor points, we should be able to put it directly back onto here. And if we need to do this one at a time, you absolutely could, because that actually might be a little bit easier. There we go. That one's back in place. And we will move this one back in place. So what I'm doing here is, so I have this and now I'm holding control and I'm clicking on the anchor point, clicking and dragging, and then you can see how it kind of locks on to that anchor point as well where it says intersect. So that way it's starting right there. And I'm actually going to grab my scissors, which is just C on your keyboard, and then I'm just going to cut this so it's shorter and then delete this a half. And same thing with this one, grab C, and then I'm going to cut it off there and hit backspace and just delete that. Probably do that down here as well since it kind of starts here instead. So we're going to cut that there. Hit V, it didn't select this side this time, so just delete that. Now actually what we need to do is go to our gradient panel, click on this piece first, make sure you're on our fill, go to our gradient, and this is what we need to do. So now we're going to change this to, we'll go with like this. Let's do a yellow. Actually, no, I don't like yellow because like when you fade it to black, it gives it like this weird brown look. So we're going to do, we'll do red. Red's fun. And now we're going to grab this one. And we might make another piece here, but we'll see how this looks. And we're going to grab this gradient as well. Same thing for this one. But we want to try and make this gradient so it makes sense. So we'll have two gradients because I need it to go here. So we will swap this around maybe. Let's see how if we can get this to look the way we want. And I think that actually looks pretty good. We'll grab this one and we're going to swap this gradient around so it kind of goes this way. So there's good separation of the two pieces. That looks good to me. I like that. That looks good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab this piece and we're going to hit Control C, Control F, and that will create a duplicate in front of that. And we are going to swap these around so it's just a stroke. And we are going to crank this up to like 20, probably higher than that. Let's just give this a black color so we can see what we got going on here. And let's go to 40. So 40 will look good. So once you have your stroke set to the width that you want, what you are trying to achieve is the piece in here. You want this to be smaller. So this is just a good way of doing that. So now we can drag this over and we'll give it a fill. We'll just give it a red fill because it doesn't matter. We're going to change its color anyways. And now we're going to select the object, go to object up here, and then go to expand, fill and stroke, click OK. And now we're going to go over here and click divide, right click, ungroup, hit A on your keyboard, and now you should be able to select just this small piece. And we're going to change this to a gradient. Whoopsies. So make sure you're on your fill. We're going to change this to, we're going to drag this gradient down so we don't lose it if we need it later. So just drag that down onto your swatches panel. So now it's here for if we need to use it again. It's just the gradient that we were using for there. We're going to change this to white and black. We're going to change both sides to white, but we're going to change this one down to like 40% and then change the other one down to 0% for the opacity. And we're probably going to bring this back up a little bit. And this will just give it a reflection. Good reflection look. Do something like so. So it fades nicely into where that shadow is there. And you can just delete this piece now. And we're going to do the same thing for this one. So we're going to hit Control C, Control F, and that way it pastes that on top of there. And then we're going to do like what we did on the other one. We're going to swap this around. So now it is just a stroke, but we are going to click, we'll just do black just so it's easy to see. And then we did stroke 40 on the other one. This is a little bit smaller piece, so we'll see what that looks like. Should look good. That way it gives us a good idea of how big that piece is going to be. And now we can just make this whatever color we want just so we can see it. So again, you have this selected, go to Object, Expand, Fill, and Stroke, click OK. Go to your Pathfinder panel and click Divide. Now right click, Ungroup. Now you can hit A on your keyboard to grab your direct selection tool, and then you can just select that piece out of the center. You can delete this piece, and now we have this piece. So now you can just hit I on your keyboard because we already have this gradient up here. We didn't save it to our swatches, but you can just click on that right there. And now we're going to hit G on our keyboard. We'll grab, there we go. So if you hit G on your keyboard and it gives you that little error symbol, just make sure you have selected the fill, where the gradient is, because if you're on your, there is no gradient on the stroke, so you can't change the gradient. So just make sure you're on wherever the gradient is. Whew, that was a mouthful. So we'll do something like that. Click off here, see what that looks like. That looks good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab these strokes. Let's see if I can, I'm just going to lock both of these. So select both of those, hit Control-2, and then I'm going to click on this and hit Control-2 as well. So we can just grab this stroke. And we are going to make this stroke bigger. We're going to go over here to our properties panel. If you don't have properties, it might be over here or over here, but just go to Windows, go down to properties. So now you can edit your stroke. So this is what we're going to do. Again, I'm on the properties panel, click on stroke itself. And now we're going to go down here to profile. And we're going to click on here. And then we're going to hit I on our keyboard. Oopsies. And we're going to hit I on our keyboard now and then just click on this, except we don't want it to be on our fill. We want it to be on the stroke. Bring this back up. Oh, we needed to add the gradient before we did that. So now we will change this to here, and then we can edit this gradient however we want. I'm going to put that here, and I'm going to put this black. Actually, probably going to do black on both sides. Change this to black, drag this over, put this red in the middle, drag that over. Let's see, where's the middle about? That looks good right about there. Somewhere's right in there. That looks good. And now we're going to go up here and we're going to do the same thing to this one. So now we're just going to hit I on our keyboard and we're going to select the same thing for that. That does increase the stroke width and gives it the same gradient. Might not be in the same location that we want it to be, but we also have to change the profile of this gradient or this stroke. And we're going to need to move this over, just not quite in the right spot for me. I like it to be about there. That looks good. And I think that looks good. I think I'm going to make this stroke. I'm going to make this red a little bit different. We're going to, let's see. So I double clicked on the red and then I went to here. And so I'm going to click on this little panel here and this brings up the hue, saturation, and brightness. And I'm going to bring the saturation down on, maybe not. No, I think I'll just leave it the way that is. I'll leave it there. But so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our ellipse tool. So, and then we're going to go over here, go back up to white and black for our gradient. We want to make sure that this is, we do not have a stroke, but we want it to be a fill. We're going to grab our radial gradient, and then we're going to just click and drag this out kind of like so. Hit G on your keyboard to edit the gradient, and we're going to drag this in, and then we're going to drag this up. So it's kind of like so, and then we're going to click and drag this over here. We're going to rotate this around, and then we're going to click on our opacity right here, and we're going to go down to color dodge, or whichever one looks the best, and you just kind of want it to be kind of like where there would be a like causing a glow. We might need to change these colors so of this path though. So we're going to click on this delete. We're not going to delete it yet, but we're going to change this around. I was hoping, I liked this look of this, but I just wasn't sure if that's what's going to work. We are going to copy this color right here. So that's just straight red. So that's super easy. We're going to change this to white and then go to this one, and we are going to change this. I think it was this red color, probably. Yep. Change this one to the red color as well. But then we're going to drag this in so it's not quite so big. And bring this down a little bit. See how that looks. And then we're going to drag this over and put that where that reflection is right there. So that would be like the reflection on the edge. But we're going to bring this over. We're going to do it different. So we might need to edit the gradient on this. Just not quite looking the way we want it to look. Make sure we are on our fill, not the stroke again. And let's drag this in some so it's kind of more like that. Now let's drag this over. So that's looking a little better. Something like so. Give it a little bit of like where the shine would be. And then we're going to click on this one. We're going to hit I on our keyboard, and I'm just going to select the same colors. And I'm going to click on this gradient here and move this over so it's kind of more where I want it to be. And I'm going to hit Control C, Control F, make a copy of that. And then I'm going to drag this down here and rotate this around. Put that right here. Make it so it fits good. Probably something like so. It might be the way because this stroke is so thick. So maybe we'll make this stroke a little thinner and it'll look a little better. I think that looks better. So we'll do the same thing with this one. We'll bring this stroke down some as well. Maybe we'll bring the opacity down on this a little bit. Quite that far. Something like so. What's this opacity down? So we'll bring this back up to 100, make that straight white. Bring this, so you can see there's a little bit of a process to find the right colors, the right way, the right look you want for each piece. So I'm going to I did bring that opacity down some, but with bringing the other opacity up, let's see what this looks like at 100, 100. And so I think I like the way that looks. I think I like it. So we're going to I'm just going to create another layer, bring this below here on this layers panel here. And what I'm going to do is hit M on my keyboard, and that brings up the square or rectangle tool. And I'm just going to make this straight black. I'm just going to make this quick background color here. That way what you see in the tutorial is exactly what you see in the thumbnail. And I should have done something else here. I'm just not sure how I want to do another curve here. If I wanted to do another curve here or not. It's kind of boring for me in the middle, but if you make something, let me know what you made. And we're not done yet. Let's see. So I need to actually unlock everything. And then I'm just going to lock this back layer. And I'm going to select everything. I'm just going to do a right click. Transform, reflect, and I'm going to do a horizontal, and I'm going to hit copy. So that way it'll create a copy, an exact copy of this upside down. And we're going to center that up just like so. I think that's centered. And what we're going to do is grab another rectangle tool, and we're going to drag this over here. Drag this down. So what this is going to do is create that, create a reflection look. Hit G on your keyboard to edit. So all I did was select that radial gradient again for that rectangle piece that we just created. And I'm just going to drag this out from here, something like that. See what that looks like. And once you've got your gradient where you want it to be, actually we're going to drag this in just a little bit, probably right about there. And now we're going to hit V on your keyboard again. Whoopsies, move this back over. Don't click on this bar down here, you'll jump around. And then we're going to select all of this. So let's see, I'm going to move this really fast, and then I'm going to select all of this. And I'm going to group this together. That way it will select all of this here in just a second. I'm going to move this back over here, line that back up. Boom, just like that. And now we're going to select this. So see, now it'll select all this. I don't have to worry about selecting the background or accidentally grabbing any of this. We're going to go over here to your transparency panel, click that. And now we're going to click make mask. So now that gives you kind of a reflection of the number 2 here. I think that looks good. That's what we're going to do. We're going to call it a day there. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. As always, if you have anything that you would like to see done, make sure to leave a comment below. Thank you all for watching. Stay safe, and we will see you in the next video.